The room was quiet, bathed in the golden glow of late afternoon sunlight filtering through the curtains. A faint hum of life buzzed outside, distant voices, the occasional rumble of a passing car. Inside, it was a different world, a sanctuary of stillness, where time seemed to stretch and yawn. A shelf, cluttered with years of forgotten ambitions, stood like a silent observer against the wall. Its books, dusty and forlorn, held stories no one had touched for ages. And then, almost by instinct, a hand reached out. Not for any particular reason, not for a specific book, just reaching. Fingers brushed a spine, worn and rough, its title nearly illegible under the weight of neglect. The book slid free, its cover heavier than expected, as if it carried not just pages but something alive, waiting. Opening it, the scent of old paper and ink rose like a whisper from the past. Eyes scanned the yellowed pages, gliding over words that had waited, patient and silent. Then they stopped. A phrase, simple yet sharp. It cut through the mundane haze like a blade of light piercing darkened clouds. What you seek is also seeking you. The words lingered, their weight growing with each repetition in the mind. It wasn't just a phrase. It was an echo, as though it had always been there, hiding, waiting for this moment to be found. A strange warmth blossomed in the chest, a mix of curiosity and something deeper, a feeling without a name. That book, once forgotten, had just rewritten the present. And though the room remained still, something had shifted, imperceptible yet undeniable. The streets buzzed with life. Cars wove through traffic, their horns punctuating the hum of the city. Conversations spilled from open doorways and cafes, fragments of laughter and debate drifting on the cool evening air. The protagonist walked, book in hand, its weight still oddly comforting, a quiet reminder of the words that had etched themselves into their thoughts. Those words, what you seek is also seeking you, repeated in their mind like the steady beat of a drum, faint but persistent. They had read them hours ago, yet their resonance refused to fade. Each step seemed to fall in rhythm with that phrase, as if the universe itself had tuned in. The chatter of strangers blurred into background noise until one voice, clear and startling, broke through. What you seek is also seeking you, someone said casually, as though it were just another part of their conversation. The words hung in the air, electric, and suddenly, the world seemed to still. They stopped mid-step, heart pounding. The speaker was a stranger, leaning against a lamppost, talking to a friend. They weren't addressing the protagonist. How could they be? Yet it felt personal, directed, intentional. Was this coincidence? The rational mind wanted to dismiss it as such. But deep inside, a quiet voice whispered otherwise. It felt like a thread had been pulled, connecting this moment to the earlier one. Felt deliberate. The world around them slowly resumed its chaotic rhythm, but everything felt different now. The universe, it seemed, had spoken. The question wouldn't leave. It lingered in the protagonist's mind, weaving itself into every thought, every quiet moment. Was it all just chance? The phrase in the book, the stranger's words, it felt too precise, too perfectly aligned to be mere coincidence. And yet, what else could it be? That night, the search began. Seated at the dimly lit table, surrounded by the soft hum of their computer, they dove into the depths of information. Page after page, article after article, the same term kept appearing. Synchronicity. Carl Jung, the famed psychologist, had described it as meaningful coincidences, events that seem unrelated yet carry a profound connection. These moments weren't random, he argued, but threads in a larger tapestry. A glimpse into the unseen workings of the universe. The words resonated deeply. Synchronicity wasn't just about events aligning. It was about significance, a language spoken by the cosmos to those willing to listen. The concept was both exhilarating and unsettling. It hinted at a world far more intricate than what could be seen or explained. As they read on, examples surfaced. A song playing at the exact moment it mirrored a thought, a symbol appearing repeatedly across days, a random encounter with someone who unknowingly answered a burning question. All signs, Jung suggested, that life was not a series of isolated moments but an interconnected web of meaning. Closing the computer, they leaned back, thoughts racing. Synchronicity wasn't just a word, it was a key. And perhaps, just perhaps, it had already begun unlocking something extraordinary in their life. The following days unfolded like a puzzle in motion. Little pieces began to emerge, fragments of moments that, at first, seemed disconnected. A number would appear repeatedly, on a receipt, a clock, a passing license plate. A song from years ago would play just as a long-forgotten memory resurfaced. Faces of strangers bore uncanny resemblances to people once known. It wasn't until these events started weaving together that the pattern became undeniable. The protagonist found themselves thinking about an old friend, wondering where life had taken them. Hours later, a random notification appeared on their phone. An event they didn't recall RSVPing to, featuring that very friend on the attendee list. Coincidence? The thought felt hollow. Walking through the city one evening, the world seemed alive with signals. A message on a billboard mirrored a decision weighing on their mind. A snippet of a stranger's phone call answered a question they hadn't spoken aloud. The fabric of reality no longer felt static. It felt alive, whispering in ways subtle and profound. For the first time, they felt it clearly. An unseen connection tying all things together, threads they couldn't yet fully grasp but knew existed. These weren't isolated events. They were notes in a symphony, hints of a grander design. The connections weren't random, and neither were they loud or demanding. They were quiet but insistent, as if the universe itself was extending a hand, inviting them to follow where it might lead. The nights had grown quieter, but their mind was anything but still. The connections, the patterns, they didn't just appear out of nowhere. Something deeper was at work. It wasn't the world itself rearranging. It was how they were seeing it. And at the core of that perception was the subconscious. Sitting in the soft glow of a single lamp, they turned to the book again, flipping through its pages for insight. The words seemed clearer now, as though their meaning had deepened since the first reading. The subconscious, it said, was not just a repository of forgotten memories or dormant thoughts. It was the bridge between the inner self and the vast expanse of the universe. A sudden realization hit. The subconscious had always been listening, processing the world in ways the conscious mind couldn't. Those random phrases and recurring symbols weren't random at all. They were being amplified by the subconscious, patterns it recognized, resonances it found significant. The heart of synchronicity wasn't out there. It was within. Through meditation and reflection, they began to test this theory. A single thought, held with focus and intent, seemed to ripple outward. Sometimes it came back in the form of a person's unexpected call or a chance meeting. Other times it was subtler, a feeling of clarity, a decision made with ease. The subconscious was a guide, nudging gently toward the connections that mattered. It dawned on them that their thoughts and emotions weren't just passive. They were forces, shaping the flow of the universe in imperceptible but undeniable ways. The deeper they tuned into this quiet current, the more the world seemed to mirror their inner state, revealing truths that had always been there, just waiting to be seen. The questions had grown larger, pressing against the edges of understanding. What was happening? Was there a logical framework behind the synchronicities, or were they purely mystical? It was a delicate balance, one foot in the tangible world of science, the other in the boundless realm of mystery. Late one evening, surrounded by scattered notes and glowing screens, they delved into the writings of physicists and philosophers. The concept of non-locality stood out, a phenomenon in quantum physics where particles, separated by vast distances, could influence one another instantaneously. It defied classical logic, much like the synchronicities they were experiencing. The theory of entanglement explained it further. Once connected, particles remained linked, regardless of time or space. The universe wasn't a collection of isolated events, but a vast, interconnected web. If particles could resonate across galaxies, then perhaps the events in their own life weren't as disconnected as they once seemed. There was something poetic in how science echoed the mystical. String theory proposed the existence of dimensions beyond the familiar three, layers of reality unseen yet ever-present. Even Einstein's work hinted at time's fluidity, challenging the linear perspective of past, present, and future. If time wasn't fixed, could the synchronicities be glimpses of a larger pattern, ripples across multiple dimensions? Yet, science alone couldn't explain everything. There were limits to what equations and theories could measure. The mystery, the feeling that the universe was alive and aware, persisted. It was as if the cosmos had a consciousness of its own, speaking through numbers, coincidences, and connections. In this space between fact and faith, they found themselves standing. Science revealed the mechanisms, the structure behind the patterns. But the mystery gave them meaning, a sense of wonder and purpose that no formula could ever capture. Together, they formed the bridge between the seen and the unseen, logic and intuition, the material and the divine. The journey toward understanding had taken unexpected turns, but nothing had prepared them for the discovery of the Akashic Records. It was a concept that seemed to emerge from the crossroads of mysticism and spirituality, a repository of every thought, action, and event woven into the fabric of existence. The first mention came from an old text they stumbled upon during their search. The Akashic Records were described as a universal library, a timeless archive where the story of every soul was written. It wasn't just a metaphor but a realm of infinite knowledge, accessible not through books or devices but through heightened awareness. Curiosity became obsession. What if these records were real? What if every synchronicity, every unexpected connection, was a page from this cosmic ledger being shown to them? Through meditative practices and guided exercises, they began to seek access, not in a physical sense but as an attunement. The process was quiet, almost ritualistic, clearing the mind, focusing on a question, and listening deeply and patiently for the answers. And then it happened, not as a voice or a vision but as a knowing. A sudden clarity, as though the pieces of a puzzle had clicked into place. Events from the past that had felt random now seemed deliberate, meaningful. Challenges endured, relationships lost and gained. They all fit into a broader narrative, threads in the tapestry of their life. The Akashic Records weren't just about discovering external truths. They were a mirror, reflecting back the depths of the soul. By understanding the patterns written in their personal record, they began to see how those patterns influenced their present and shaped their future. The idea wasn't to control destiny, but to align with it. To trust that the universe, through these records, was offering guidance. A nudge toward growth, healing, and fulfillment. It wasn't about knowing every detail, but embracing the mystery while navigating life with purpose. Each step forward felt like peeling back another layer of an intricate, hidden truth. The synchronicities, the whispers of the universe, had not just been external events. They were reflections of an inner journey, urging the protagonist to look deeper into their own soul. The realization came slowly at first. These patterns and coincidences were tied to their thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. The moments of alignment weren't random. They were mirrors showing parts of themselves they had overlooked. A recurring symbol wasn't just a curiosity. It was a question. What within you needs attention? They began to notice how certain events would repeat until a lesson was learned. A missed opportunity would echo in a similar experience later, as if life itself insisted on growth. The universe wasn't just nudging, it was teaching, patient but persistent. The process was not without discomfort. Confronting long-held fears, doubts, and wounds required courage. Journals became companions, places to trace the patterns and reflect on the emotions they stirred. Meditation revealed quiet spaces within, where the mind's chatter fell silent, and clarity emerged like a soft light. As the days turned into weeks, something shifted. Choices that once felt difficult became clearer. Intuition sharpened, guiding them with a confidence they hadn't known before. The world outside began to feel less chaotic and more purposeful, as if every interaction, every experience, was intricately connected to their path. Self-knowledge wasn't a destination. It was a practice, a daily unfolding of understanding who they truly were. And with every step, the synchronicities grew more profound, more personal. It became clear, The journey inward was the key to navigating the world outward. In discovering themselves, they were beginning to understand their place in the grander design of life. The world had taken on a new rhythm. The chaos of daily life, once overwhelming, now felt like music, its discordant notes revealing a deeper harmony when viewed from the right perspective. The protagonist no longer saw themselves as a passive observer in a random universe, but as an active participant in a grand, interconnected design. Walking through the city, they began to notice how even the smallest things seemed to align. A butterfly landing on a park bench as a thought of transformation crossed their mind. The laughter of a child breaking through a moment of doubt. A sudden breeze carrying the scent of flowers, stirring a sense of hope. These weren't coincidences. They were reminders that everything in existence was part of a greater symphony. Science had spoken of interconnectedness, spirituality of divine purpose, and now both seemed to converge in undeniable clarity. The stars above, the earth beneath, the people passing by, all were threads in the same cosmic fabric. Each moment, no matter how small, carried weight. Every action, every decision, sent ripples through this intricate web, affecting not just their life but the lives around them. They began to live differently, with greater intention and a quiet trust. Synchronicities were no longer surprises but companions, guiding them gently, like the steady pulse of a cosmic heartbeat. Obstacles felt less daunting, not because they were easier, but because there was an understanding that even challenges had their place in the harmony. To flow with the universe wasn't about control. It was about surrender. It was about knowing that while not every note in the melody could be predicted, every note mattered. In the grand scale of existence, their life was a vital part of the song, unique, essential, and eternally connected to the rhythm of the cosmos. It came quietly, not as a thunderous epiphany, but as a gentle unfolding, like the soft petals of a flower greeting the sun. The protagonist stood on the edge of all they had learned, not seeking more answers but embracing the vastness of what they now understood. The synchronicities hadn't stopped. They had become part of life's rhythm, woven into the fabric of every day. Each encounter, each coincidence, felt like a line in an infinite story written both by them and something far greater. It was a dance, an intimate collaboration between their intentions and the universe's design. And then, the truth settled over them, steady and unshakable. The synchronicities weren't external signs sent by some distant force. They were reflections of their soul, their choices, their growth. The universe was not separate. It was within. They were part of its infinite intelligence, just as it was a part of them. The phrase from that long-forgotten book came back to them one last time. What you seek is also seeking you. It wasn't just words anymore. It was a living truth. They had been seeking connection, purpose, and understanding, and in doing so, had awakened to the universe's quiet, constant dialogue. Looking back, every moment now made sense. The unexpected encounters, the recurring symbols, the strange, unexplainable alignments, they were never random. They had always been the universe's way of saying, "You are not alone. You are seen. You are guided." Standing in this revelation, they felt no need to conquer the unknown or demand certainty. Instead, they carried a profound gratitude for the mystery, the connections, and the infinite journey that lay ahead. The story wasn't ending. It was only beginning, a limitless adventure in harmony with the cosmos itself.